Wide open from center ice. It's Patrick Kane in Chicago.
Oh my God!
Kane with the overtime winner. The Red Wings win it 3-2. The story is complete on Kane's return to Chicago.
That right there is a goosebump moment if you're a hockey fan, and a vintage Patrick Kane performance. When the game matters the most, he delivers like always. Except there were very few people who thought Patrick Kane would still be this good. After a disappointing 2023 season and a major hip resurfacing surgery in the summer, many thought that Patrick Kane's best hockey was behind him. But with 28 points in 27 games, Patrick Kane was just what the Red Wings needed, and he's proving everyone wrong. I'm going to be straight up with this breakdown. Patrick Kane is my top 3 favorite players to watch in all of hockey. At his absolute peak, there's very few people in the game who can facilitate and manipulate their opponents like Patrick Kane. Last year was really hard to watch as a Kane fan. With an injured hip, the mobility and shiftiness that made him so elusive completely left his game. He told The Athletic that the hip was so bad that he could barely cross over, and he was basically playing straight-legged with severely limited lateral movement. However, after a special hip resurfacing surgery, Kane's recovery has allowed him to get back to the things that made him the elite player he was prior to the injury. Like GM Stevie Yzerman puts it, he's got great skills, he's a good skater, but what makes him exceptional is his brain. That gives him an advantage, and that part doesn't deteriorate. It's why he was still able to put up 57 points in 73 games last year without being able to move. So far this season, all the signs show that Patrick Kane is back. The Red Wings needed a player to complement DeBrincat's East-West style of game, and with the past history of much success, Patrick Kane was the perfect fit. At his best in Chicago, Kane was driving offense off the rush by using a lot of lateral east-west movement by either A, taking the space available to him to shoot, or B, to use that gap that he created to suck in defenders and find an open man. In the Chicago game, we saw this ability on full display, as here, Kane takes a 2-on-2 play with little to no space and creates a zone entry for Detroit. In this situation, he chooses to attack the middle and move laterally as he enters the zone. This slightly mistimes the gap of the Chicago defenders, and it forces the D to step up. That is right where Patrick Kane wants him, and he can dish it over to Larkin to set up his attack. That zone entry led to a number of solid chances for both Kane and Detroit, and it's something that he's been doing for them all season long. Players who can enter the zone with possession dictate the pace of the game. With Kane, his mobility is back to the point where he can use that lateral movement to gain the zone and find a teammate to set up offensively. Kane will also usually pair this east-west movement with a change of speed as well to give himself even more room to create. Here, Kane makes a 2-on-3 rush dangerous for Detroit. When he gets the puck in the neutral zone, he swings out wide to build speed and then crisscrosses with DeBrincat as he enters the middle. Instead of driving with that same speed into traffic, he puts on the brakes ever so slightly to slow right down dead in the slot, and because the D had to match his speed upon entry, there's space for him to make a play. 2 Nashville defenders crowd the middle to block a potential shot, but that subtle delay bought time for Detroit's third man to step in, and it creates a solid scoring chance. This level of patience and movement at the offensive blue line has given Detroit an improved layer of offense off the rush, as Kane's vision allows for weak side defenders to jump up in the play and activate for a chance. Now once in the zone, Detroit joins the 2-3 offensive zone meta in the NHL and has Kane act as the primary high man with the puck. Having a player like Kane swing up high where there's space against zone coverages gives him a ton of options to attack downhill and make a play. Again, what separates him is just his ability to get lost in the ozone and follow up the play to be in the right spot at the right time. For a guy who's never been known for his net front presence, Patrick Kane scores a lot of goals within a few feet from the net by finding the soft spots in between checks and anticipating loose pucks. Then you have the power play, which primarily also runs through Patrick Kane. Once Detroit gets entry courtesy of Kane, there's a few set plays in which they've had success. First is a down-low play where Kane will either be below or just above the goal line. If below, he will receive a pass and kick it out to the slot, and if above, he will release a hard cross-crease pass for the net front man to try and get a stick on it. When the puck is up high, the Kane to DeBrincat magic is real, as they will look for their staple cross-ice pass to beat the goalie moving laterally. Of course, with a player like Patrick Kane, you have to take the good with the bad. He's no longer the player you can count on for solid two-way play, but Detroit is okay with him cheating a little bit on the offensive side with the hope that he will create a chance. Typically, coaches would want you to stop on your check here and make this a harder play, but Kane is anticipating that this puck would head up to the point in which he could make a strong play to intercept or chip it by the D for an offensive chance. Kane's the one guy on your beer league team who cheats for a breakaway, except the difference is that Kane will score while your buddy will probably put it up in the rafters. As we saw in the storybook ending in Chicago, Kane doesn't even bother to get back in 3-on-3, and why would he? Where other players might bust their ass to get back and try and stop this chance, Kane thinks offense, and it pays off. Just because Kane may sometimes cheat for offense doesn't mean that he's a total liability defensively either. Oftentimes in the breakout, Kane's vision and poise helps Detroit get started on the offensive transition, or it allows Detroit to regroup and set up a better play to exit the zone. Kane was never an overtly physical player known for forechecking, but he's always been smart with his stick. Takeaways are a niche part of the game. It may not always have a huge impact in the end result, and honestly, it isn't really a stat that is very well recorded by league scorekeepers. Yet when Kane strips someone of the puck, good things usually happen. By forcing clean turnovers with a quick stick check, Kane can get immediate access to the middle of the ice, which sets him and his teammates up for a good chance to catch defenders disorganized. Kane won't be the guy to block a shot or throw a hit, but if he can close in on defenders and get a stick involved, it's enough for him to be a positive contributor on both sides of the puck. To the eye, Patrick Kane makes the Detroit Red Wings a better hockey club. Yet when you look at the advanced numbers, it still suggests that Detroit is a team riding a PDO bender comprised of a hot special teams and shooting percentage. Despite having Kane, the team's numbers aren't great in transition play, but that's exactly why you play the game. There are certain intangibles that players bring to a team that just aren't measured by numbers. Last season was likely the exception in Kane's production, but that didn't stop a lot of people from writing him off and calling him washed up. Right now, Patrick Kane is beating the washed allegations, and he's doing it with flying colors. This may all just be a lucky run for Detroit, but sometimes you create your own luck, and that's enough. It's been 7 long years since Hockeytown has been back in the playoffs, but if Kane continues to play at this level down the stretch, we may finally get to see a healthy Showtime in the postseason.